getting a chance to chat with a gentleman on the phone who I haven't seen him in quite some time, and you might not have either, but we saw his car here recently on the YouTube channel. I was out at the DIRT Hall of Fame and Modified Museum out in Wheatsport, and we saw one of the Chuck Akulis cars that was recently in the Hall of Fame, so it gave me the idea to get a hold of the guy that they called the Pink Panther. And of course, if you're from the Southern Tier area, even Canandaigua, this guy won a lot of races over the years. So let us head down to Windsor, New York. That's been Chuck Akulis' home for as long as I can remember. Chuck, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Good to hear that. So, how long has it been now? You've been retired for a while, you told me?
2000 is when I retired.
And started back in 1960. We'll get there in a little bit. But first, before we go back, let's talk a little bit about that car that I showed that was in the Hall of Fame. What can you tell us about that Pinto-bodied DIRT Modified?
Okay, that was a car that I built in 1976. And that car that you see up there almost got crushed in Gary Hugh Pullett's crusher.
Really?
Yeah, somebody sent it there. I didn't. It was a long time since I even seen the car, and guys there seen it, and because it was a chassis with the motor. No, I don't think there was a body on it, but one of the guys there seen it and said it looks like one of mine, and so Gary from Gary's U Pullett, Gary Beadle, he called me and he wanted me to come and look at it and see, if it was my car. So I got there and I said, yeah, it's definitely the car I built in '76. So then he had the car restored to what it is now.
How close is it, as you look at it, to the way it was back in 1976?
It's pretty close. The guy that did it did a good job, and it's pretty close. Mike Newell is the guy's name that did it.
Tell me a little about the car. What is the chassis? What's underneath there?
Well, it was back then. It had coilovers in the front and leaf springs in the back, and the car always worked good. Actually, I ran that car that year. And that was I won a championship at 5 Mile Point. And then that was the start of 9 in a row there. But it wasn't all with that car, but that was the start of it.
Were most modifieds in the mid-'70s basically set up similar, like you said, with the coils in the front and the leaf spring in the back, similar to what you had?
Yeah. Well, that's the way I built it anyway. But people were getting away from that. They were starting to go to torsion bars and everything. But that car still worked, and it did win races.
Was it new in '76? And was it different than everybody else was doing?
No, a lot of cars were like that, just a little before that. Because that was '76. I think Tobias started building cars like in '70 or something. And they were starting to go to the torsion bars.
I see.
But at that time, I didn't. I just left it that way.
How many years did you race that car, and how long was it successful?
It was probably a couple of years I raced it. Because the next year I built another one that was similar. And so I ran both of them there for a while. And, they both won races. I can't tell you how many or anything, but they did. The cars worked. That was the main thing. There was nothing special about the engines. I never had any high-dollar engines or nothing, and but the cars did work, and that's what helped a lot.
Big block Chevy, was it?
Yeah. Well, the one had a small block. And then I went to a big block later. This car that we're talking about, I believe I started out with a small block, and then I ended up with a big block in it.
When was the last time you saw it before it ended up at the recycling yard?
Oh, geez.
It's been a while, huh?
Probably 25 years ago at least since I'd seen the car.
So what was it that you saw on it that made you realize, wow, this is my car?
Well, just the frame, the way I built the frame, and I could tell I remember what I had done to it. The way I built it, and it was a little different than some of the other cars.
Did you start from scratch with the frame, or did you use pieces and stuff from other types of frames that were available at the time?
No, I started from scratch in my garage.
Okay. Did you have an idea of what you were doing? Did you base it on anything, or did we just pretty much start out with some pieces of 2x4 and just start welding?
Well, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I changed the front of it a little compared to the other cars, and but it was basically like a lot of other cars, except for the frame in front a little bit. But other than that, it was basic as far as the cars that were coils or leaf springs in the back.
Okay. Why the pink? Where did the pink come from?
The pink comes from the Schaefer. I want to say Schaefer and Andrews was together, and when they had me drive their car, it was pink, and it was number 3, and that's where it started, and that's where it stuck.
Oh, so you just happened to be the guy who drove it, and you decided to just keep that pink and the 3 going all those years?
Yeah, well, see, they owned the car till 69, I think. And then I just left it. Actually, in 69, I took the same car and I put a 36 Chevy body on it. But it was actually the same car, and I drove that till, I don't remember when until I did the 76 car that we're talking about that's up in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. And we're going to get to some other stuff in the next interview, including when he first got started. I really didn't know we were going to get with this first one, but we started talking about this car, and I decided to go ahead and keep it there. Why did you finally get out? And you said it was 2000 was the last year you raced?
Yeah.
What was the reason?
Well, I was there doing it for 40 years, and I just decided it was time to think about some other things in my life, things that, and get away from all like the time I'm spending on the cars and everything. And I don't know, things just changed for me, and I was at the age where I wanted to see what the rest of the world was like.
Are you happy that you made the decision when you did in 2000?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a hard decision to make, but I made it, and I can't look back. I mean, yeah, I think about racing an awful lot, but I just, I'm too old now to do it, so I don't worry about it.
How old are you now, Chuck?
Well, I'm going to be 84 on January 6th.
Oh, your birthday coming up so early. Happy birthday. We only got about a minute left before we're going to start our part 2 here. Did you ever have a moment after you left where you thought, maybe I'll go back, or did anybody say, gee, Chuck, can you drive this car one night? Did anything like that happen?
No, not really. It goes through your mind that you would, you'd done it for so long that you might do it, but I didn't. I said I want to look at, change my life a little bit,
Okay. And like we said, that was 23 years ago, guys. So in the next one, I'm going to keep Chuck on the line here, and we're going to start another clip here in just a second. I'm actually going to record it right after, but I'm going to air it at a later time within a couple of days here. We're going to go all the way back to 1960, how his career started, and what changed in the mid-60s that made him a feature winner. Chuck, stay on the line, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Make sure to subscribe, guys. Put on the likes. Do all that kind of stuff. We'll have a lot of stuff up here, and we got another one that we'll have coming up with Chuck here in just a little bit.